What if I told you that your body, the one thing you trust every single second of your life, could betray you without warning, without a second chance? And that betrayal could begin right now, as you're sitting here watching this. Because the thing that keeps you alive, the silent automatic system you take for granted every day, sweating, might suddenly stop working. And when it does, your entire internal world starts spiraling into chaos. Your organs, your brain, even your very blood temperature starts climbing uncontrollably. And the terrifying reality is that most people don't even realize how critical sweating is until it's too late. So let me ask you, if your body stops sweating right now, how long do you think you'd survive before real damage begins? Seconds, minutes, an hour? Because in truth, in extreme conditions, it could be just minutes before irreversible harm begins. Imagine walking outside on a bright sunny day, the sun beating down, the heat on your skin. Uncomfortable, but familiar. Except this time, there's no cooling mechanism, no droplets forming on your forehead, no evaporation pulling heat away, nothing to stop the internal temperature from rising. Your heart rate climbs, your breathing gets heavy, but the usual signals of sweat never arrive. And here's the thing. Your brain, the control center of every decision, every action, every thought you think, is extremely sensitive to temperature. And as the core temperature rises just a few degrees above normal, confusion sets in. Your thinking slows, your coordination falters, your judgment clouds, and most terrifyingly, you may not even notice what's happening. Your body silently overheating, a life-threatening scenario unfolding in real time inside you, while the outside world seems normal. This condition has a name, anhidrosis, but the clinical label hardly captures how sinister it really is, because the first signs aren't dramatic. They're subtle, silent, the absence of something we never thought to notice. And once it starts, the consequences escalate faster than most people could imagine. Your skin remains dry, deceptively normal, but inside, cells start breaking down, proteins unravel, organs struggle, your liver, kidneys, heart, all working overtime in a failing system. It's as if your body becomes a trapped machine, sealed from the very element that keeps it alive. And here's the dark truth. Evolution built us to rely on sweat as a nearly perfect cooling system. Millions of microscopic air conditioners embedded in our skin, constantly pulling heat away, without which the engine overheats catastrophically. There's no backup, no switch to turn on if the sweat glands fail. So what could cause this terrifying shutdown? Well, nerve damage, genetic conditions, certain medications, severe dehydration, even skin disorders. Anything that interrupts the communication between brain and sweat glands can silently flip that switch off. Ordinary people, healthy by all appearances, can be at risk without knowing it. And think about this. Some people are born with impaired sweat glands, meaning their daily survival depends on vigilance, constant environmental management. Air conditioning isn't comfort, it's a lifeline. So if you've ever taken sweating for granted, this should already be chilling you. Because it's one of those systems running in the background that quietly decides whether you thrive or collapse. And the way it fails is brutal. Once the body can no longer shed heat, core temperature climbs to dangerous thresholds. Around 104 degrees Fahrenheit, confusion begins. At 106, your organs start malfunctioning. At 108, survival becomes unlikely. And most terrifyingly, you may feel almost fine at first, your brain unaware, your skin deceptively dry, giving no obvious warning until the system tips, and then everything spirals. Dizziness, nausea, pounding headaches, your thoughts fragmenting, irrational. Behavior, aggression, as if your mind itself is melting inside the heat. People have collapsed mid-run. Soldiers in training, hikers, athletes, all victims of pushing too hard while their cooling systems silently failed. And the horror isn't just the physical breakdown, it's how ordinary it seems in the beginning. A slow creep of danger, disguised as a normal hot day. So if you're asking how your body actually reacts, the answer is a horrifying combination of biological fire and mechanical failure. The blood thickens, the heart pumps faster, the brain swells, neurons misfire, as if every system inside you is screaming help, while no one notices, no one even understands what's happening until it's almost too late. And that's why sweating is so critical. It's not cosmetic, it's not comfort, it's survival. Every droplet evaporating from your skin is literally keeping your cells alive, your brain safe, your organs functioning. And yet, most of us ignore it, complain about it, wipe it away with a towel, as if it's an inconvenience, never realizing that one day, the absence of this very thing could mean collapse, permanent damage, or even death. And the science behind it, is chilling. The sweat glands are controlled by a complex neural network, automatic, invisible, unthinking. When it fails, it signals damage to the body's regulatory system. The first hint, often subtle, a mild overheating, a lack of moisture. But then it escalates, a chain reaction of catastrophic proportions inside. And here's the most haunting thought. What if this system failed while you were asleep? What if your body quietly stopped sweating in the middle of the night, hours before anyone noticed? Hours while heat silently destroyed cells, damaged your brain, put your life in jeopardy, and you would wake up completely unaware that the invisible shield keeping you alive had vanished. Wouldn't that scare you? Because it should. And the reality is that it's entirely possible. Dehydration, heat, genetic predispositions, medications, nerve damage, burns, all can cause sweat to stop. And once it does, it's not just uncomfortable, it's life-threatening. A ticking time bomb hiding in plain sight inside every human body. So next time you feel even the tiniest bead of sweat forming on your skin, think of it as a hero, silently saving your life. Every second, every drop a shield against chaos, because the alternative is a slow, invisible collapse. The horror of overheating inside while your brain fails to recognize it. Your heart fights against the heat, your organs struggling, your cells breaking down, and no emergency siren goes off, no flashing lights, nothing to warn you until it's almost too late. And the scariest part is that many of the first victims don't even understand what's happening. They may feel fine at first, shrug off the heat, push through discomfort, unaware that every step, every movement, every heartbeat is accelerating the danger. And for those who survive, the memory of how suddenly and silently it can all change stays with them forever. The realization that something as small, as unnoticed as sweat, can literally decide life or death is terrifying. And it's also humbling. It makes you realize how much of your survival is dictated by invisible processes, automatic, silent, that you never even think about. And that's the story of sweating. The dark truth of what happens if your body stops doing what it's meant to do every day, without question, without permission. Because in the end, the smallest things, the most overlooked mechanisms, are often the ones that matter the most. And in the silent horror of anhidrosis, that lesson could not be clearer or more chilling. The difference between life and death, hidden in plain sight. Every drop of sweat, a tiny miracle, keeping the clock running just a little longer. And when it's gone, the illusion shatters, chaos spreads, and your own body, the one you trust, completely becomes the true horror story.